You're
And good Friday morning, January the 10th, 2025. I can't believe we're already the 10th of January. Welcome to the David and Chuck Show. We got Coach 8 with us this morning. Semifinals of the college football playoff last night, game one, Notre Dame and Penn State. And game two tonight, 7:30 on ESPN, which is basically I'll start the day off by being the smart ass this morning. The NCAA is just a name now. College football is run by one entity and one entity only, and that's ESPN. So the ESPN National Championship semifinals is tonight on ESPN at 7:30. So good morning, gentlemen. How are you two?
morning.
Well,
Chuck, speak. Can I hear you, Chuck?
I'm doing well.
Okay, I can hear you now. Real quick, everybody kind of be aware of the weather today. They say for the next 24 hours in our area here. I don't know what's happening down there, Chuck, but we're going to get 4.5 to 5 inches in the Waynesville area is what they're saying. I don't know because you know how it is here. 1 minute it's nothing, and
Here we're supposed to get about 3 inches, and my grandson Trey is like on cloud nine. He is walking on air. He is jacked up. They called school, and last night he looked at me and said, "You get a good night's sleep. It's gonna snow about this much tomorrow."
That's it, baby. That's it. So anyway, just everybody be aware of the ice, snow. We can drive in. Ice is tough, so everybody be careful, be safe. We're thinking about our friends out in California. Tough situation out there. Tough situation. But anyway, last night, Notre Dame 27, Penn State 24. My thoughts before I throw it to you two was I don't think that any of those two teams and Notre Dame moving on, I don't know that they can compete, especially if Ohio State wins tonight. I don't see that game being close at all. I don't think the offensive play last night was really good, even though there were some points scored in the fourth quarter. Offensively, they were very pedestrian, and probably the better team did win at the end, I guess.
Well, the way I look at it is game-wise, it was the second best game of the playoff behind Texas, Arizona State, as far as just game, because it came down to a final possession, all this stuff. In all honesty, very below average offensive game. You can look at it in two ways. You can say, are we looking at it from the pass game standpoint or the run game standpoint? Pass game standpoint, very mundane, very just bleh. Run game, you go, that might have been the best game with total running backs of best running backs in the games. Like with Penn State's duo and Notre Dame's duo. That was kind of the marquee matchup in my mind. Early on, I would have guessed under 45 points. It went over, but I would have guessed under. With Penn State, 0 completions to a wide receiver. You cannot win a national championship doing that. Now, I'm assuming they're going to have some stuff come into the portal and sign a class, all this stuff, but you cannot win a natty not completing the ball to wide receiver. Notre Dame's pass game was very subpar until it needed to be at the end. And I do give credit to Notre Dame's offense coordinator for saying, oh, by the way, Penn State's playing man-to-man. Number 41 is a linebacker, cannot get out in space and cover. Had 3 big plays on with him in coverage. If I'm Penn State, I don't make it at number 3, if that makes sense. We're not getting to number 3 big play against my linebacker having to play out at corner. It's not going to happen. We're going to check the zone. So that's kind of the takeaways I took from the game. I think Penn State's got phenomenal tailbacks and tight end. Their front 7 played really well for most of the game until it had to at the end. And then until this kid proves me different, I'm going to start using, like everybody says about his head coach, about like, when's he going to James Franklin this thing? When is Drew Aller going to Drew Aller this thing?
Chuck?
This is not, and it's not a shot at the kid, but in the biggest moments, it's like something doesn't click.
Let me, Chuck, give me your overview, your thoughts.
I'm on John, Coach Eight's bandwagon. I mean, he's spot on. I can't add it. I don't know if I can add anything to it. I thought Penn State was 2 different teams. The first half team was completely different than the second half. I think Notre Dame just grit and determination. They just kept battling and coming back and answering. And so those are just things that they're a good football team and deserve.
Oh, no doubt. Well, they're going to be really good next year because they made it to the semifinals. That's a hell of a recruiting tool.
Right.
What I think the most glaring notice to me though was from first half to second half, Notre Dame adjusted offensively and Penn State would not adjust defensively. First half, Notre Dame was going, we're going inside zone. It couldn't work because they were looping to it by the DNs. Well, how you wash that out is you run counter and you down block on that looper. Well, what do you think Notre Dame ran the whole second half? Counter, washed him down and gashed him, and Penn State did not adjust defensively. That's hard for me to fathom that you're that level of a coordinator. And after the first drive, you go, oh, by the way, they're running counter. Let's stop looping. Like, that part's not hard. And they didn't stop. I did love the fact they were like, screw it, let's bring pressure. Let's make them throw the football. Let's make them do this. I love that fact. But you have to adjust if a team, all their adjustment is to counter, which is just the guard pulling, and then a second guy, whether it's a tackle or a tight end, depending on how you want to run it. But they didn't adjust to it. So then they started running quarterback counter and got an extra blocker with the running back in play, and they still didn't adjust to it. That was what was baffling to me.
And let me ask you guys this. This is going to run across the bottom of the screen, and I'm gonna before Jonathan answers his, I want to get what you think, Chuck. Can Notre Dame compete with either Texas or Ohio State next week or whenever this thing takes place?
The 20th.
Yeah.
Well, from the get-go, Jonathan said that Notre Dame would beat Indiana, or Notre Dame would beat Georgia, and Notre Dame would beat Penn State before they even played the first playoff game. So kudos to Coach 8 on that, seeing that how that one side of the bracket was going to play out. He had if you play and beat teams, those 3 teams, then yeah, you can compete. I don't think they got to play a near perfect game.
Yes.
No, that's happened before. Team not giving the team a chance, and they come in and they are focused. I wish for a gentleman bet that I make. Last night I ignored Coach 8's opinion and went Penn State -1 and under 45. So that's a double loss. But go figure. But if you could see that if Notre Dame wins those 3 games, they've earned the right and they can play whoever comes from the other side. Gentlemen, not convinced Ohio State is just guaranteed this run. That is earn that right, and if they play good football and don't make the mistake. Here was my thinking on, and y'all understand it. I couldn't get over the fact Notre Dame lost to Northern. I couldn't get over. This team that I see on the field is so powerful, so good. How do you lose to Northern Illinois? Well, at the same time, how does Ohio State lose to Michigan? You know, start to think if that team shows up, then I just think Texas has a shot. And by the way, guys, when you team so riled up, good for one. Good for one.
Yeah, no, I'm
2 games back to back in a row, pretty much close. That's tough to do. You have to be so angry and play. We'll see tonight.
No, I agree. To answer the first part is it's hard to sit here and say that Notre Dame can't compete with either one of them because they're in the game. I always go back to Ohio State, Florida in 06. Florida had no business being there. They didn't. And they ended up winning the game because now granted, Ted again gets hurt, blah, blah, blah. But that's the game I always go back to. So as far as the Texas Ohio State game, the matchup for me to watch is Jeremiah Smith and Texas DB Makuba. The transfer from Clemson. He's their lockdown guy. I would, if it's me, I'm matching them up one-on-one and saying better man win. 5th-year senior, true freshman. You've got experience. He's just a dog, though. See who wins because Texas does their back 7 is really good, but it's more for run stopping, not pass game. So if you shut down Smith, that's fine. Now, if you're Texas, you've got to hope that Will Howard is off somewhat. He doesn't have to be a world beater. He doesn't have to be an All-American. He's got to be a facilitator of the ball because he's got that many playmakers around him. So now you've got to hope that he's not pinpoint accurate tonight because you've got Igbuka and Tate that are going to be matched up one-on-one with somebody, even in zone coverage, because Jeremiah Smith takes that much attention. So that's where I think the matchup is tonight is watching how do they play Smith. Because if you leave him one-on-one, he ain't losing that battle. He's proven that all year. So that's my thing. But Texas can score with the best of them. That's the thing. Sark is a great play caller. Ewers, let's call it like it is. Ewers ain't coming back to Texas, whether it's the draft or the portal. Ewers is literally playing for a pay raise every throw. Every throw he makes is dollars for or against him right now. Whether it's the draft, excuse me, or the portal. Because remember last week we talked about this, there was a report of $4 million NIL deal on the table for him. Well, the kid at Tulane got the $4 million from Duke. His instantly the next day came out reporting that somebody offered him $6 million for 1 year. He'll never make that much in 1 year in the NFL as a rookie. I think he's a portal kid, and I think he's going to go to a Notre Dame, an Oregon, or an Ohio State fit. But that's a whole different conversation. What I'm getting at is that's the reason why I think Texas has a chance is now you've got Wingo, number 5, true freshman, dude receiver. You got Matthew Golden, transfer kid, who is their leading receiver right now because he's playing tremendous in the slot and on option routes. So I think that to me, this is a marquee matchup. I like the offensive side of this game tonight. I like the defensive side of the matchup last night.
Any advantage, guys, and this is to both of you, any advantage to Texas playing basically a home game?
Yes.
I think there's an advantage being close to Austin. Excuse me, playing in the Cotton Bowl. But and Ohio State travels well, so it's going to be, I think, a 50-50 thing.
They get tickets allotted to them,
right?
But So you were right. It will be about a 50-50, but I still think it's an advantage Texas just because they're playing in Texas.
Right.
Like it's I think it's more of a comfortability thing. You know
Well,
what
that's
I mean?
a big word, Chuck.
More than a
Comfortability.
crowd noise.
Hold on 1 second. I got Source Dictionary.
Yeah. Did you get your thesaurus? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Comfortability at 9 o'clock in the morning on a cold Friday.
Guys, I'm a public educator. I got this.
You got it, man. You got it, dude.
So I'm going to ask a question, Jonathan. We never talked to you about things that, but we're as we progress here with this, we're going to start asking more and more questions that pertain to the things that you know about. And one of the things that I want people to know is like you guys are fixing to play a big time game in front of the country, and it's Thursday night, and you don't play. Your kickoff is not for 24 more hours. It's a night game. So kind of take people through what happens. It's not just sitting at home, and mama cooking supper. Kind of take people through what happens from the evening or 24 hours before kickoff.
Yeah.
Is that
obviously it depends on if you're traveling or not.
You're traveling.
If you're the travel team, you'll get to your facility depending on where you're traveling. If it's 3 time zones, 1 time zone, all that, or 0 time zones. You'll meet at your facility around 11 to 12 o'clock the day before. You have a quick meeting, go through team meeting or position meetings, get on your bus, get to the airport. The cool part is you do not go through security at the normal airport. You go through security. They drive you right to the tarmac. You get off the bus, and they'll have a security there for you for the team. You'll get on your go to security, get on your plane, fly. And it is really cool. You'll have your big charter buses sitting on the tarmac as you land and waiting for you. First bus offense, second bus defense, third bus special teams and admin. Like AD and that type of stuff that are traveling will be on bus 3. Get your police escort. So kind of side note real quick, this moment will always vividly be in my brain. We're playing at Mississippi State in 07. Anybody's been to Mississippi State, it's a 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere, and then boom, there's Mississippi State. Okay. So we're leaving the game, and you always have a police escort, and they're going right down the middle of the double yellow line, and cars are having to veer off both sides into cornfields to let us through. Like, I still always remember that moment. It was just because that's police escort. That's part of it. So once you get off the plane, you get on your buses, you go straight to the stadium to do a semi walkthrough, but more kind of get a feel for it. Every staff is different on if you actually do a walkthrough, but you're there for about 45 minutes, get a feel for the locker room, see where your locker's at, see where the tunnel's at, how do you get to the field, that kind of environment. And if quarterbacks are intelligent, they go ahead and find the play clocks. That's where your coaches are telling you, find the play clock where they're at so you can start getting a visual where they're at now. Okay. So you're trying to familiarize yourself with the stadium. They're about 45 minutes to an hour, get on the bus, go to their hotel, check in. So at this time, it's probably close to dinner time. So as soon as you get there, you go to meetings. Okay. Just real quick. Then you're going to go to dinner. Dinner is tremendous. I'll say it that way. Is what it is. You're going to have most places are within a couple side items the same. You're going to have filet mignon, shrimp, grilled chicken, or your meats. Then you're going to have pasta. You'll get you just plain pasta, but you'll be able to pick your pasta sauces, broccoli, green beans, corn, potatoes. Build your own pasta bar. Like it is a spread. And then after that, you go to your actual team meeting, night meetings with everything. Okay. You get out of that around 9 o'clock. Then you're going to you'll have your nightly snack, a little ice cream bar, a little treat bar, be in your room. You got movies in the room around 9:30. Okay. everybody's allowed to, or we always did, movie in your room. Some teams, when I first got to college, we would go to a movie at a movie theater as a team until we had a couple kids do something stupid, and then we movies in your room. They took game one for that to happen. Surprise. So then the next morning you're gonna have wake up call. That all depends on the time of the game. Noon game, night game. Tonight's a night game. So night game, you'll have wake up call. Breakfast be about 8 o'clock, and then once again omelet bar, filet mignon, eggs, potatoes, bacon, sausage, the whole spread. Anything you want is available. Quick walkthrough, and then it's downtime. But you're essentially some positions meet, quarterbacks meet, some positions meet, some don't, and you are in your room relaxing, getting ready, hydrating. They make sure you got enough water, make sure you got enough Gatorade that you have to have. Pedialyte to go ahead and start pumping your body full of fluids. And then at that point, once you get about 4 hours before game time, is pregame meal. Pre-game meal, like I said, about 4 hours before. Once again, pasta, all this stuff, get your body full of carbs, ready to go. Then you're going to leave 3 hours before the game, 2:45, 3 before the game, to get to the stadium 2 hours before the game. And at that point, it's go time. So you are on a strict schedule. Again, they give you an itinerary every week before you leave the facility, and it tells you what time is boom, 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 boom. And you have to be at everything. If it says downtime rest, you are in your room resting. It's not running around the hallway. It's not going down and hanging out in the cafeteria or in the hotel where the food is. You're not hanging out in the meeting rooms unless you are meeting with your position. It is very strict. It is very detail oriented, very scheduled for you. But once you're there, you're used to a routine. It is it's what it is. It's the hardest part that people don't tell you is when you're done playing, not traveling that way. Just say it that way. And I can being serious and funny at the same time, like not just driving up to the tarmac and getting on a plane, not having Chick-fil-A boxes on the plane, just sitting there waiting in your seat. You know what I'm saying? Like not having filet mignon at dinner every night you go to a hotel that's just there for you. That's the hardest part to realize is like, damn, they take care of you. I mean, they do. They do. They take care of you in every way. So if I'm a betting man right now, Ohio State is getting up, or both teams are actually walking into breakfast right now because it should be 8:18 in the morning there. They should all be walking into the breakfast to go ahead and hit that omelet bar up.
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, you spend all week getting, trying to build scenarios. So when you write those stories and everything, you have different scenarios as you're sitting in the press box. And I mean, I can tell you the scenario. It's real brief. You get a different types of scenarios as you're preparing for the big game. And then the drive to the stadium is quiet, because you're talking about different things, how you think might play off and what lines and openings you would use. And then each team, so you don't have to look up men on roster. So you have to have laser focus. Oh, are we talking just about players or journalists too?
Whatever we want, man.
I'm not add to that.
So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and this is for both of you. Is it harder in a game like tonight or in a game like last night? Is it harder to have to wait till 8 o'clock to kick off? Would you rather play at noon or 1 o'clock?
Personally,
yeah.
I think it depends on if you're home or on the road. At home, you want to play at night. On the road, you love playing at noon because two things. You know that the crowd's not as into it, and the fact that you're not going to be traveling and getting home at 3 a.m. because you leave right after the game. So
but that's unless when you say they're not into it, unless that's LSU.
No,
LSU's always into it.
No, they're always into it, but I'm just being honest. Like it is what it is. Let's call it like it is. We're all grown-ups here. If you play at night in major college football, your opposing fans have had all day to tailgate. If you play at noon, they haven't had all day to tailgate. So, I mean, like, they're still into the game, but it is a total different atmosphere. It's not easy to play on the road either way. It's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying it's not as insane by the fans early on. So you can kind of you always feel like you can jump on them quicker on the road for a noon game because the fans aren't fully interactive yet, if that makes sense. Like, they're there, don't get me wrong, and you know they're there. But it's not like going to Neyland or going to Tuscaloosa or Baton Rouge or Athens, Georgia, or places like that at night when they're in the stadium fully ready to go when you walk on the field for pregame warmups. The noon game, they're not in yet. They're still trying to tailgate. So there is a difference. So you would rather play on the road at the early game because of that, and the fact of the game lasts roughly, you're in and out in 4 hours depending on the TV channel. CBS is going to take 6. And sorry, Big Ten, that's what you get now. There's no love lost there for me. It is what it is. You start at 3:30, you're getting your clock at 0 at 9:30. But and then because you travel back, that's the part, because like a lot of places nowadays, we did it my senior year, is the players are in on Sunday for walkthroughs to get your blood flowing and also make sure they don't go out the night before. So that's another reason why night games on the road are harder, because it's less recovery time to sleep because your time doesn't change. So home games, 100% you want the night game, no doubt, because there's no travel for you. You know what I'm saying? You walk back to your apartment or your dorm or wherever. But bowl games, it's called like it is, guys. You want a night game. Playoff game, you want the night games because you want that electric atmosphere. Do you really think that anybody's going to count any player from Ohio State or Texas absent if they don't go to class tomorrow, like whenever they go to class? Like, no, not a chance. If they do, they'll be getting a phone call from the president. Like that type of stuff. So that's what – go ahead.
They use students from the student body to fill into the classrooms.
They may.
Take their test.
They may. It is Ohio State. You never know.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the game. Winner tonight. Just give me the team name. I've got Ohio State, I think.
You can't say I think.
I think.
I'm going Ohio State only because let me tell you, whoever wins this game, I think wins the Natty. I'll say it that way. But I've got Ohio State because I think I don't think anybody in the country has enough DBs to match up with their 3 receivers. That's all. And it's not, and I don't think Ohio State's quarterback is a world beater. I think he's a good facilitator of the football, but I don't think he is just like sign him up, give him to go draft him early, give him a great NIL deal. No, I think he's got the 3 best receivers on the same team in the country, like as far as receiving core. That's why I think Ohio State wins. Is nobody, I don't care who it is, I don't think anybody can match up with their receivers, because if you match up with them, you've got 2 really good running backs that are hard to match up with now in the run game, because now you've lightened your box. That's why.
Chuck?
Man, before, I'm not a fan of Notre Dame. You know I'm not a fan of Ohio. So I'm just going to – I can't do it. I can't –
What's this, Chuck? That's why they're going to win, because they don't want you watching the national championship. Listen, ESPN said, screw Chuck. It's not going to happen. He can't watch the national championship game.
I'm going Texas.
Texas. I think it's going to be a really good football game.
Oh, I think the first team, honestly, I think tonight, I think you got the first team to 50 wins, essentially. I do. I think 48 to 50 wins this game.
Are we watching the 2 best teams in the country play in the semifinal?
No. 2 of the top 3, yes. Because Oregon, regardless of what happened in the Rose Bowl, Oregon's still up there. Regardless of what happened in the Rose Bowl, Oregon's still top 3. And I still think they're number 2. Ohio State, even though Oregon was ranked 1, Ohio State's always been number 1. The Michigan loss woke them up. It's just what I'll wholeheartedly believe that.
Chuck?
So I think 2 of the best 3.
I agree with Jonathan. Oregon all season long, you can't discount that because all 4 of the teams that had byes lost in the quarterfinals. So it's just like in baseball. We said all after that first year when they had that expanded playoff and all bye teams that won the division, there were 1-12. So there's something there with that layoff, and you can't be sluggish playing against Ohio State. And they came angry and went up 21-0 just like that. So I think Oregon is still one of the top 3. Ohio and and Notre Dame. I got to give Notre Dame the credit right there. So
Yep.
I think that those are your 3 top teams.
All right, and I'm gonna change. We're gonna talk college football. We're not gonna talk about the game until when we get back tomorrow and review the semifinals and preview the final. But the kid, the quarterback from Georgia that got hurt, that declared for the NFL draft last week, and we were kind of shocked at that. And he is now back in the transfer portal. And my first thought was Chapel Hill. Really, I thought to myself,
I think that's number 2.
But my thought is, for the offense in the way that it's run and what Coach Belichick runs it's the offense.
I'm with.
He's a perfect fit for that.
I don't disagree.
But my first thought it was Chapel Hill, and then you said what you said.
Hold on, I'll tell you that in a second.
And
go ahead. I think there's 2 schools. Chapel Hill, I think, is number 2. Truthfully, I think Ohio State may be number 3 because Howard's gone. But number 1 is Miami. Guys, his girlfriend plays basketball in Miami. There's a certain phrase that will forever be true in this world. I don't know if I should say it on here because I'm a public educator and I don't want to get fired.
Yeah, don't.
You can read between the lines.
Yes.
He will go to Miami.
Yeah.
Just understand me. He will go to Miami. Okay?
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good fit for him personally. Offensive scheme-wise, I don't think that's his game. I think he is an under-center drop-back guy. I think he does fit Chapel Hill's system. I do. But I still think he ends up at Miami. I do. For that. And I found it interesting. I didn't know. Maybe I was ignorant. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know you could enter the transfer portal with a no contact clause on there. Did y'all know that? I didn't. He literally put that's the same face I made when I read it. He has a no contact tag on his account in the transfer portal, which means he already has a team picked out in my mind, which means he's going to Miami because of his girlfriend.
Chuck?
No, I was on Miami from the get-go after reading the article. Everything Jonathan said tells me this guy is doing this. Why not the NFLs? I think because of the arm. He's got to prove to the NFL teams that he's not damaged goods, and he's got to go out and play to see if the arm's okay.
And he'll make more money in college next year than the NFL because of his arm. That's why.
And then if he has a good year, then we'll see who will go from there. But he's gonna get some money to begin setting himself up for his post collegiate career, and the girlfriend situation that she plays at basketball. So I have steadfast stayed with Miami unless I don't think there's a number 2 or a number 3. I think it's Miami.
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason why I think he does not go to Miami is if they can't fork up enough money, but that all depends on. And the thing that puts a wrench in that system is the basketball coach stepping down saying, well, we don't have any money, blah, 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 blah. I do think – now, listen, I've been honest individual about this. Social media, in theory, was great, but social media in reality is atrocious. But his girlfriend has figured out a way to monetize her and her sister's social media. So she'll be able to help him find the money at Miami is what I'm getting at because of social media. So I don't know if it's full blown got to be from the university. North Carolina can fork it up because they got their collective upped a lot by Bill Belichick. Side note, probably won't be there this year.
Yes, he will.
No, he won't.
Yeah, they came out yesterday.
Hey, cool. And all these coaches came out and said, well, I'm not leaving, not leaving. And 2 days later, they're gone. When Tom Brady calls you, who's a minority owner of the Raiders, and says, hey, by the way, if you want the job, it's yours. Like today, they've already called and said, if you want the job, it's yours. And who does Tom Brady train? Oh, Shedeur Sanders. Who has a top 5 draft pick? Oh, the Raiders. Shedeur Sanders is a top 5 projection. I've been calling that for 4 months though, so I'm going to keep on that bandwagon that I think. Huh? Yeah, and Sarkisian's probably going to go to the Cowboys. We've been saying in our room too. Truthfully, that
you guys know nothing over there.
Notre Dame's in the Natty. I've been calling that one. Ohio State's best team in the country. Called that one. So y'all can keep going. I can keep going.
Chuck,
I do think. Here's the thing. I do think Belichick. If you read his contract, it is a little fishy on how the buyout just instantly drops. I do think that if he does stay at Carolina this year, it's only for 1 year. I do believe that there's a lot of pull because Vegas has got a lot of money, and his old quarterback that he won 6 Super Bowl rings with or whatever it was is now a minority owner and has said, do you want this job? That's all hard to turn down. I'll say it that way.
I think he's in Chapel Hill this year.
And that's fine. He won't be for more than one.
And let's go back again.
Well, I've got to jump off here in just a second.
Okay, yeah, I do too. But real quick, anything that we should look for out of the ordinary tonight in the football game that people that are watching go, okay, I heard Jonathan or I heard Chuck say, or I heard David say, look at this and pay attention to this one aspect of the game.
Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
I was going to just say first and foremost is you're going to see how Texas's defense plays and matches up against their top receivers. Jeremiah Smith, I had a brain, but how they match up, where the bracket coverage, under coverage, man coverage, how they're going to play that guy. I don't think you can play one-on-one. You're going to have to double team him, and then that means somebody else has got one-on-one coverage. So how they go. And the other thing is how Billy Howard plays. If Billy Howard plays well, then those Buckeyes might take it. Billy Howard plays poorly, Texas and lingers around into the fourth quarter, Texas got a shot.
I agree. But I look at on the other side for Texas, does Ohio State do what they did against Tennessee and say we are better than you, our front four is better than your front five, and play a 4-man box to now completely take away, because Texas can throw the football. If they can take away their receivers with their secondary and make them try to run the football but stop it with 4 and/or 5 in the box, it'll be a long day for Texas. So that if they make them play more in the box and play 6 and 7 in the box, advantage Texas on offense. So I think that's the matchup that's going to be fun to watch too, because Ohio State's up front 4 are good. They really are. What's his name? 33. It probably if he doesn't lead the country for the season, he does in the playoffs of batted balls. Like seeing the matchup, how they do with him. So it's to me, it's going to be a fun game.
That's Sawyer.
Yeah,
that's a bad dude.
Well,
guys,
I'm
excited. I think it's going to be a fun game. I really do.
All right, we're going to get off here. Everybody be safe today. Watch the weather. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the semifinal round and get ready for the championship. And we'll get it done. So everybody have a safe day today. Watch the weather. Chuck, you guys be careful down there. And tell Trey that I got ice cream. I'm coming. I got him taken care of.
You better. I'm gonna bring Trey some ice cream. It better be Fudge Ripple. That's his ice cream. Fudge
tell
Ripple.
him I got. Hey, tell him I got some chocolate chip mint that we're gonna hook him up with. See you guys.
All right.